you all just tell us a little bit of how you feel diversity has played a part in how the music trends or the entertainment trends have changed in the past few years? I'll start with David.
We can do it Vogue. We'll take Vogue maybe 4 months to do. We can do it in, maybe the course of like 3 days. If we have a photo shoot, we can go to editing, we can go to social media immediately, almost the next day. Whereas we got to do physical photo shoots, physical print, and I know that we utilize it for cutting down time, and also with our Where's Peers campaign that we have, we can move virally. It just works, a little bit easier for us, like in that respect.
From a business perspective, I think you can break it down a couple different ways. One, in marketing. It's allowed you to reach a larger amount of people fast. I talked globally from Skype with South Africa this morning to Bordeaux, talking about wines and bringing them in on Skype or Ustream, and everything is free. I can get my music out. It does cut down the lead times tremendously. Then there's another component, since you wanted us to go fast, on the business services aspect. The music industry has moved. It's no longer in Los Angeles nor New York. It now resides in Silicon Valley, California, along with San Francisco, California, because the music industry has switched from an identifiable physical unit, which used to be a CD, tape, or record, to streaming. And there's a whole new model as we sit here in Congress that we need to discuss and be at the forefront of, which is the policy surrounding how artists and copyright owners, which are protected expressly in Article 1, Section 8 in the Constitution, how they're protected in this new streaming economy.
I think that it's helped out with entertainment because at the time that I started my site, there was no Black gossip site. So now mainstream sites are coming to us, because now there's tons of Black gossip sites coming to us saying, can we borrow your pictures? Can we have your information? Who is your photographer? Who is this? Who is that? Because either one, they didn't care about Black celebrities to begin with. They never really included us outside of 3 or 4 people. Or 2, they literally don't know how to do it. They don't know how to get in touch with us. They don't know our culture. They don't know our backgrounds. They don't know how to connect and get sources in this space. So they use us, people like me, to incorporate it on their sites, which is good and bad in different ways. And also, it's a good way to be representative of certain corporate brands and be able to bring things very quickly to a very big consumer audience. Young Black professionals are one of the largest consumer audiences. So now advertisers now have a very quick way, instead of going to print, like he was talking about, some print people that take 3 months to get their stuff out there. Now they can come to us because we take 5 minutes to get a story out. So now they want to advertise with people like us, and they can reach our audience.
And it's level the playing field, all the way.
Right.
I mean, that's really, if I could add one other thing, when we first launched our Flow series, we did an exclusive deal with Circuit City. And because of our social media networking and marketing and the email list that we have, which is about 30 or 40,000, it was 30,000 at the time, around the country, we were able to do an exclusive deal with one retailer and put 3 records in the top 15, 2 in the top 10, and 1 in the top 5 of the Billboard Jazz Chart. So with my 4-person staff in Silver Spring, Maryland, technology allowed me to compete with Verve, Columbia, Warner, and everybody else, and put us on the map. And it does that for everyone.
So my next question is for Aaron and Brandon. Both of you all are in the music industry. And, oftentimes people sample songs. I didn't know until recently that, you have to get permission to sample a song. And that has everything to do with intellectual property rights and protection. So in your industry, how did you have to learn about, intellectual property? How do you utilize that as far as being able to sample stuff? Or how does that impact like your business now? How do you take that into consideration?
The first thing is to get a good lawyer. your attorney can educate you on all of that. The beautiful thing about the internet is literally everything you just said, you can just put in Google and it'll pop up, and you have a number of different sites that will educate you on those different things. I'm sure probably when hip hop kind of reached its peak as far as the commercial liability part of it, you started seeing people getting sued, whether it was Puff, whether it was Ice Cube, a lot of people that were sampling like James Brown and things of that nature, because as young people of color, we were just putting out music, but we didn't understand the legal side of it. And so, all of a sudden, record companies and publishers will wait a couple of years until that song has picked up traction, and all of a sudden you hit with a lawsuit, and don't understand why. Like even now, with I think the Big Pimpin' Jay-Z is being sued by Egypt, or one of the heirs of Egypt, because international law states that you have to go get permission from all the heirs of whoever produced the song. So, you know, it just comes down, I mean, but technology is so amazing, it's just really no excuse why you shouldn't know these laws and know these things, like, because you can literally educate yourself with a click of a mouse.
Yeah, when you're dealing with intellectual property, which is basically any creation from the mind, inventions, music, publishing, you do have to educate yourself as an artist and know all of the various boundaries, especially when you're dealing with sampling. I tend to create with the partner and try to really create everything from scratch so that I don't have to deal with the intricate laws. But yeah, having a good lawyer on hand is important, and understanding your publishing rights as an artist and understanding those laws, that's very important.
And for people that might not understand what publishing is, that's basically like your equity. So if you have a house, you know, you have the equity in your house for your publishing as an artist. I mean, you'll hear stories of how an artist might have gotten a $500,000 advance, or even $1 million advance, because they gave away 100% of their publishing, which is the worst thing that you can do. Because now, for the rest of your life, unless you have like a super good attorney that knows people, you'll never be able to pull that equity back into, you know, some of the work that you created. So you want people to understand that about the music space when it comes to publishing.
Good idea. You should check out 17 USC section 106. Really good idea.
Say that one more time?
17 USC, United States Code, section 106, 105, 106, and on down to the penalties, I think 108 or 109, Professor Latif can help me out.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But that's it. You can also, because that is all you have now. As we're switching to a streaming, media-based Pandora, how do you pay me?
Right.
RDO, Slacker. I have 3 stations on Pandora right now, and I had to talk with the guy who founded Sound Exchange. And if you're an artist or a lawyer representing an artist, this is how you get paid now. You get higher royalties on Sound Exchange than you do BMI, CSAC, and ASCAP, which are your performance rights organizations. My Sound Exchange checks are like 3 times the size of my BMI checks. But you have artists that don't even know what Sound Exchange is. And I had the breakfast with the founding executive director today. Somebody turned down $20,000 because it was an artist that didn't know what Sound Exchange was and thought it was a scam. So, you know, and one of the challenges I think in the minority community that we have to face is self-education and really getting into and getting out of this, putting the money under the bed and kind of saving it kind of deal. That mentality. We are $8.5 billion yesterday for Skype. How many of us are playing at that level? Now I know that I will be, but how many of us are playing there? And if we don't understand the rights and the patents and the trademarks and all of the rights and assets that he was talking about, from ourselves in our own study, we're at the disadvantage. We can't blame anybody else. And I'll tell you this, I want part of the 8.5 or the $10 billion bill that's coming down the next. And I guarantee you, you will see me there in a couple of years. But I am a student of the business, more so than a student of the music. Because you have to be. Because I know a lot of starring musicians that have houses 10 times bigger than anybody's house in here. It's because they got the business right, whether it was the connection, whether it was understanding the asset, whether it was I hooked up with the right person at the right time and I got a piece of the last YouTube deal, whatever it is, that's where we need to play. And those are the big things.
So with that, I think that's interesting. I'm sure a number of us out there have entrepreneurial aspects and dreams, but sometimes it's just the fear and the lack of knowledge of knowing where do you even start. And especially, people say like, it's not about civil rights anymore, it's about civil rights, it's about economic empowerment. So my question is, how did you all start off from your dream and your idea and think that, I want to go into business for myself and have my own economic empowerment through my own business venture? Like, where did you start from?
I'd be real hungry, that's all it is. I don't know a complicated answer to that.
I mean, for me,
Like practically, like
Like,
My first step was
oh, I'm
to-
saying like, you're saying like to practically start it.
To start
Because
your
like
own
you said,
business.
like you go on the internet, you start finding, okay, I need an LLC, I need a tax ID, I need this, that, and the third. You get the business right first, and if I want to open a bank account and receive money, how am I going to get it? Like that's the first thing you do. And most people start with this whole dream mentality and forget that I've got to get paid and do my business stuff behind it. They're too involved in the product or the idea or the dream of it all. And then that's where they get caught up in, oh, now I'm afraid, I'm scared, as opposed to saying, okay, I'm gonna start something. I started in business, was it like November I started. I said I wanted to start importing wine. Out of the blue, I had no clue about what to do with that. I started researching, said I need a permit to import to the United States, I'm gonna need to go through it. I can't import and distribute in Georgia. I had to go through everything to do that. And I just, out of my head, said, okay, I'm gonna do this. It took me 7 months to do it, but I started step by step by step and said, okay, I need to get the product here, how am I gonna get it here? Then once I get it, how am I gonna sell it, how am I sell it, how am I market it? But I think, like I said, people get caught up in just the fear of it all, and they just say, oh, I can't do it, like, cause I don't have $1 billion, I can't start a wine company. Take a couple $1,000, and if you can't get a loan from the bank, if you don't have the money, you then can pull it apart. If your intellectual property, then your mind is strong enough, then you can pull the cash from where you need to get it from, through people, through saying, this is my
Through
work.
legal means.
Right, oh yeah.
There's a quote that I read every morning, and it says, entrepreneurship is living your life now like most people won't, so that later on you can live your life like most people can't. And to me, that just means that you just got to start it. You know, like for me, I was in corporate America, I was miserable. I thought I wanted to be in the music space. I took an unpaid internship with Puff, did that for 1.5 years, and that was my way of doing research and figure out if I wanted to do it. And then from there, you know, I believe that I never really understood when they say necessity is the mother of invention, but I've always had this necessity or need to want to be happy. And I think that we know so many people, all of us, even on this panel, that they might be making more money than all of us on this, sitting right here, but they're miserable. And so you just got, like you said, you got to just get past that fear. And then once you get past the fear and you immerse yourself into it, then all that other, you're going to make mistakes. But the first thing I did, because of the business I'm in, the first thing I did is I found an attorney. Because there's no way I can go to anybody and close a deal if I don't have an attorney that's well versed with you know, from publishing to royalties. I mean, I have a basic idea of how all of that works, but you know, your attorney is like thoroughly immersed into it. So, I mean, you just got to start it. I think the worst thing to do is look back years from now and wonder, you know, what if.
So I guess to kind of get back on the more internet side of things.
Can I cut you off?
Real quick.
All right. Well, you asked for practical.
Yes.
So your practical is a couple things. Number one, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. You have to get that book. Number two, The Richest Man in Babylon. Those 2 books will get you exactly where you need to go as it relates to thinking and the process. Number 3, you need to go to the Small Business Administration SCORE program or any small business administration center in your area. Every county in the United States of America has a small business development center that you can go into and talk to. Schools like George Washington University they actually have a small business center in their law school that will go and help you file your articles of incorporation. So when you talk about practicality, you know, it's there on the net. You can find a lot at sba.gov, I think it is, but you can call people up and they will definitely help you out. But Think and Grow Rich, Richest Man in Babylon, what were we going to say?
I was going to say From Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Oh yeah.
That book saved my life, and I mean, I was cheap, so I didn't want to go get it, so I went to the bookstore and read like the first page of the first chapter, then I actually bought it. But there's a quote that starts off the chapter that says, "An unsatisfied death is a life in which you didn't take chances." And it goes on to say, most people are content with good schools, good churches, good jobs, but very few people are willing to risk all that to have great schools, great churches, great jobs. And so that kind of just, you know, and put it in a nutshell, if you want to, you can be good, maybe average, there's nothing wrong with that, or if you want to achieve something great, there's going to be a sacrifice. You know,
Let me just say that Aaron has a lot of good, like, Facebook status quotes, doesn't he though? And if you're not writing them down, we are videotaping this session, so it'll be available on the NAACP website, and I know the Institute's website, so please check it out. It's a lot of great information. You know, the internet and social media is so crowded now. You know, Natasha, when you first started, you were the only one, and now it's a ridiculous amount of sites now. Everyone is trying to tap into that 18 to 35 market. But yet that 18 to 35 market, we have a very low attention span oftentimes. So how do you in your business consider that low attention span, those people that you're trying to get their attention and be able to give them a product that they actually want to come and see what you're talking about.
That's the whole point of the internet. That's why it's not print magazine. That's why it's not something that will take a while to sit there and read. Everything we do, and I did change my format from the day I started to now. 6 years ago I started. It used to be one incredibly long post with 50 million stories, anything I could pull off the net. And by the way, with the whole how do you start practically, if you're doing an internet business, just start it. I did it for free for 3 years and not make a penny. And then I got smart and learned how to make it a business by myself. So you can always start an internet business. But anyway, I had a whole long format. People started to miss stories that were in there. People were like, well, this is too long to read. So I decided to just switch it up about 4 years ago and do one post, one story per time that we post. Now we do 20 to 25 stories on a busy day, about 10 to 15 on a slow day. And that keeps people like this because not only does it keep them coming back, because they're like, I know she's going to post something in 30 minutes, but they know for a fact it's going to take them 5 minutes to read it. They have an entire amount of information in about 10 lines of information with pictures to explain things. People love pictures, people don't like to read. Even the most educated people will not read something that you blatantly wrote. So you have to keep that in mind, and because that's why I made my site, unlike most other sites, very image heavy. And you have to pick out the correct images. It's almost being a real true photo editor, knowing exactly which images are going to represent your whole entire story that you're trying to get across, and that's going to keep people there, making things interactive. People don't always like to read, they want to talk, and the more people talk and discuss, the more people learn. So you know that if you have a community and a comment system and all the Facebook, Twitter, where they can just talk in 140 characters and get things out like that, that creates more discussion, and that creates promoting and learning and things like that. So I think that's just the basis of internet, is keeping things very short, simple, to the point, and keep people coming back. Also make sure everything I do is relative to my audience. You have to know your audience. I know who my audience is, it's me. I started it because I wanted to see what I see now. And I'm like, I'm not gonna change anything just because it might get me more money here or there. I know what I wanna see, and I know this is what advertisers want to tap into. So I'm just gonna talk to myself. I'm gonna talk how I talk to my friends. I literally write how I speak. So that grabs people for some reason. It holds people's attention because they're like, I'm like talking to my girlfriend. I'm not reading a long newspaper article. So I think that keeping your voice and keeping things short and simple and just making it personal, I think that keeps everybody in.
That's true, girl, because you got me. As soon as you put that thing up, I thought we knew each other. So yes, you are so true with that. And I just want to, just real quick, just want to get a quick soundbite from each of the panelists on, with regards to technology in your business, what is either the one site or piece of technology that you cannot live without that has really helped to grow your business? And not broad, like, you know, the internet, but something specific.
I mean, for me, it's been Facebook and Twitter, just because it's allowed us to engage, you know, people that are following us. I look at everybody that's sitting up here, we're in the business of telling stories. Like, I'm in the business of telling stories from an executive vantage point, building a company, and then mixed with that, adding the content to support it. And I always say, if you put good content with a good story, it equals to great. And I think, going back to what she said, that's why she was able to build her side up so well, because people were lacking something. They wanted an experience that they couldn't get anywhere else. And I think people need to understand, like, to me, the functionality when you start talking about social media is like, really, what experience are you going to give somebody? And like, for me, I said this yesterday in the meeting, but you know, Twitter is like speed dating and Facebook is like a long-term relationship. And so if you understand the functionality of both those platforms and any other social media platform for that matter, you'll be successful, I think.
Give me an insider secret.
Insider secret? WordPress 3.0 is more important to me than any of the mainstream media, social media, Twitter, Facebook, and MySpace, or any of the other ones, because with WordPress, you set your website up and you can blog. And essentially your status updates go across all of your social media at once. Tumblr was a good start, but WordPress has actually, they have just done an amazing job. So for me, I was always trying to figure out how to get around 5,000 friends on Facebook, because I have 4 accounts now that have 5,000 friends in them, and then I have a fan page that has about 10,000 fans on it. And I needed to figure out a way where I didn't have to log in and log out of each and every one. Thank God for WordPress.
Smart. Wow.
Let's go, Brandon.
I would have to say YouTube and Twitter have been very, in my space early on, influential with like me being able to reach a mass group of people and building that trust. And like she said, you have to have relative content. You have to know your marketing. You have to know your supporters and fans. And YouTube, basically, it takes no money to sit there and do a video that can be interesting and virally reach millions of people quickly. So for me as an artist, that's been very important, is building peer artist-to-peer relationship. Begin to build that trust with my fan base so that they would want to support me. So that I should say YouTube.
Probably Facebook, just because it's just.
You don't have an insider secret from me, David.
Oh, not as good as that one right there. I had to integrate that one myself. Facebook, I mean, just because just from the various peers campaigns that we have, it's just easy just to connect people, and then it goes to their news feed to whoever they are and their people that read it. So it's just easy to connect it like a little faster. Twitter's not good though. I don't like Twitter.
I don't like Twitter either.
It's
I really
horrible.
I think because, like you said, long-term relationships, Facebook not a long-term relationship type girl. Anyway, I would say my tech teams, that has probably been the only reason why I've been able to grow my site from having 4 readers, including my roommates at the time and my grandmother and my mom, to 15 to 17 million a month. So that's why I kind of disagree with WordPress being the best thing. I had WordPress for 5 years, and now I have Drupal, which is much better for a certain type of audience and certain type of traffic and certain type of content. But moving to this has been probably hell on earth. Probably the worst and hardest thing I've ever done in my life is growing the site. Growing things are very real. And if you don't have a good foundation to teach you the basics of things that people like us don't really know, having a site that's this large with this type of content is not that typical in the media space and not that typical in the internet technology space. So I didn't have anyone to teach me. I had no footsteps to follow. I'm not a conglomeration. I didn't have this, I didn't have that. It's tens of thousands of dollars to pay for things like this. I was like, somebody has to teach me this. So I've gone through several admin teams, but each one of them has taught me what to do, what not to do, what is expected, what you can do to minimize things here, optimize things here. I mean, my team now calls me tech team because now I know more stuff than they do sometimes. I've really had to literally teach myself how to run servers, like the basic, how to run the types of servers, how much data, how much memory, how much RAM, how much this, how much this. I know everything from top to bottom. So every time I go to a different hosting spot, I've just switched different hosts, I know what to tell them. If you can have all the best content in the world, but if your site's not up and running, and if it's not running perfectly, if you have even 5 minutes of downtime, that's thousands of dollars lost for me. So I know that is the most important thing that I have to have. And now it takes 7 servers to run my site. Running a team of 7 servers is hell on earth. So you have to have people that know how to do that, and it's so important, or else you don't have money. I mean, advertisers are going to be like, no, your site's down 80% of the time. I can't deal with you.
I'm sorry. We're going to go to audience questions.
Okay.
The best part of the afternoon.
So I applaud all of you all for being here. My name is Sheree. I work at the company. I'm an intellectual property attorney, and I enjoy doing that. But when I came with the IIPSJ, we talked about offering IP pro bono. And so we can go to like local art centers and try to reach people. But this is a passion of mine. How do I reach folks like you to give them that education that they don't have? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, folks need good attorneys, and certainly I agree. But I need to know, how do I reach that group?
If you would have emailed me 5 years ago, I would have took you up on that like this.
Well, I'm in-house.
I would say-
I'm not looking for business person. I'm just going to do it.
But that's
pro
what I'm
bono.
saying. That's what people. That's the thing. Email. Like everyone's email is public on every website. So if there's a group of people that you're trying to reach and just trying to reach out to, send them everybody one mass email very quickly, explaining in very small bullets what you're trying to offer. There's so many people that need this type of help.
Where are you? Where are you based? Where are you based?
I'm out of Delaware.
Out of Delaware.
I'm in-house counsel, so I'm not a private law firm.
All right, so you're right in between VLA, Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts, and Washington Area Lawyers for the Arts. And in Wilmington, I would assume that they have something pretty equivalent, if
We
not.
do not.
Okay.
Which is what myself and a few colleagues are actually working on.
Start a nonprofit.
But we want to do it right.
But I started a nonprofit. It's pretty easy to do. And like she's saying, if you put the word out there that you're giving pro bono legal service to artists, I'd be very careful.
Hi, I'm Joe Miller from the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies here in DC. We presented a paper at Fordham University last week discussing the fact that in the major web rankings, Experian or Nielsen, most of the top 10 were not founded by people of color. And similarly on Technorati, top 100 blogs were not founded by people of color. And we've seen advocacy in the past to change some of Nielsen's broadcast methodologies and Arbitron's methodologies, and I'm wondering if you have any insights as to what we can do, or if there's anything that should be done to get you up there, if it even matters.
I mean, honestly, I just think it's about educating people about what you just said, because I have a friend, I have a friend who works for Nielsen, who, I mean, one of her duties is to basically travel around the country to communities of color and educate them on what Nielsen does and why it's important and so forth. But I think we were having this conversation yesterday. Even though technology is at the, I guess, our fingertips, like for whatever reason, like we don't take advantage of that. And so you have to kind of come up with creative ways. I don't know if it's about going to schools or maybe taking this guy, somebody that's maybe relevant where people can relate to them and say, I need you to serve as the face of this initiative, because then people are more prone to respond to that.
I look at it in a whole different way, because really, when you're talking about Experian and Nielsen with computers and analytics, you can't lie, all right? And the real problem is black people want a job and a paycheck every 2 weeks. Unfortunately, that's where we are. Now, we are more likely to start, or twice as more likely to start an entrepreneurial venture than anybody else. But for the most part, we want a paycheck. These people that I'm dealing with, like I'm going through a funding right now, round of funding, and I have 2 white business partners. One is a former director of finance of Ritz-Carlton and a CFO of a group. He's turning in his letter of resignation to quit pre-money, pre-funding for us to come in and work so he can give his time so that we can get the best funding options possible. I don't know many black people that do that, unfortunately. And this, you can get pissed off with me if you want to, but I have my heart broken time and time again by folk like this. We have to get out there and let people know it's okay to fail. But as you said, the real problem, the real tragedy is when you don't try. Because we don't own these top companies. We don't own the content of mainstream content. That's where we have to be.
As entrepreneurs, how are you driving innovation? This is outside of copyright and trademark. Innovation as far as, say you have your own internet company. Are you coming up with better ways, as far as patents, invention?
It's kind of funny. I had a conversation with the guy this morning from Sound Exchange about a particular patent. Of course, I won't talk about it.
And you should.
Yes, exactly, right? But you know, when you look at it, people, you know you're an innovator when people look at you like you're crazy. And I often get that look, like this fool is crazy. You're gonna put CDs in Giant Food and Stop and Shop when they told you that they just took out all their CDs. And 3 months later, our stuff was right there. Innovation for us, it may not necessarily be innovative, but for an African-American company, you know, we have distribution through Southern Wine and Spirits already. We have a deal with Stop and Shop already, and Total Wine already, and more. And most companies that come in with wine don't have distribution. So now I can take my CD, and we went to Total Wine and created a mock CD saying, it's our Flow brand, FLO means for the love of, all right? And for the love of Total Wine, jazz, music, and our wine. They were like, oh, this is hot. But it's just packaged. You may not need to be outside of the box. It may just be what you have already right here, and not being scared to say, well, I don't see any CDs in a wine shop. But wait a minute, I know all my people listen to music and drink wine at the same time. About 30,000 of them at Capital Jazz Fest last year, right? All right, let's do it. Again, it's that fear factor, getting over the fear of looking stupid and saying like, I don't care, let's try it. Only way, and I teach as well at Georgetown and Bowie State, I tell my students this, business is like dating. If you don't ask the girl for a dance, you'll never get it.
So that's such a great segue to the end. All right, so before we wrap it up, and Marcus just gave us, I think, his. Real quick, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to the audience as it relates to growing your business and utilizing the internet to do so?
I would just say whatever you're doing, just create an authentic experience that ties back to your brand.
Thank you.
I say do you, follow your heart. If you follow your heart, the money will come. Do not follow money because you will not get it. So build what you want, they will have to come. Like it will happen, I promise.
Brandon?
I would agree with, I agree. You definitely have to plan out, I would say plan out goals, a year, 5-year goals. And surround yourself with very intelligent people that have experience in things that you are interested in, want to learn about.
I would say just really just keep the passion burning, no matter what goes wrong. Just keep the passion going. That'll keep you and make sure you get to everything else.
Remember a phrase, 5 letters, DEPEL, D-P-E-L-L, dream, plan, execute, listen, and learn. And do not come to another hearing without a pad and paper or a phone where you ask us if you can copy this thing for yourself so you can get what you get out of it. You all should have paper here and pens.
Great. Let's give our panelists a round of applause.